students, Mr. Tim here from Premier Martial Arts in Aurora, ready to go over our next piece of curriculum. I hope you're all doing well, staying healthy. Make sure you check out the last video that we posted talking about consistency and structuring our training. Anyway, let's get started. All right, students, the first thing we're going to work on today is going to be our hook punches. Now, with the technique of our hook punches, first, starting in a great guard stance, I want to make sure that I bend my knees and I keep my knees bent. I don't want my hips to be rising and falling as I'm practicing my hook punches. Now, starting with my lead hook, I'm going to make sure that, again, keeping my weight down, I twist my front foot, that I flick my front hip, that I lift my elbow as high as my hand as I bring my hook across. But then I want to make sure that I rewind 100% all the way back to my guard stance here. What I don't want to do is fire the hook and get comfortable bringing it back, right? Something that we see quite often is the hook punch go out and it rolls down and back. I want to make sure that I flick my foot, my hip, my punch, but then I rewind right back to my guard stance. And then after we practice our lead hook, let's do the same thing with our rear hook from a great guard stance. Again, sinking my weight down, keeping my hips here. Again, make sure that you're not rising and dropping as you're throwing your hooks out and back. I want to keep my hips level. I twist my back foot, I flick my back hip, and I lift my elbow as high as my punch as my hook comes out, and then I rewind and bring it right back the same way it came. Again, not throwing the hook punch out and letting it roll back to my guard stance. Flicking the foot, the hip, and the punch, rewind right back. All right, students, after spending a few minutes working on the technique, then we'll just do a little exercise or a little drill, just working on the speed of us flicking out our hook and rewinding it right back. So starting on one side, I want to do a single, then a double, then a triple of my lead hook. So from here, I flick one, rewind right back. Then I want to do it twice as fast as I can. We'll go 1, 2, bringing it right back, and then we'll do a triple. We'll go 1, 2, 3, just like this. After we do that on our front side, repeat it on the rear side. Perform this 5 sets. Once you get to the triple, that counts as 1. I want to do 5 sets on one side, then 5 sets on the other side before moving on. All right, students, the next thing we want to work on is going to be our lead leg front kick. And I want to practice throwing my lead leg front kick right now without any steps or telegraphs. I just want to, from here, transfer my weight to my back leg so that I can immediately, without any other movements, go right into my chamber and my front kick right here. All right, so I'm going to do this just a few times. Before I start the movement of the front kick, I'm going to shift my weight mostly to my back foot. Now my front leg is going to be light. It's going to take less movement and be less visible to an opponent in front of me. Now I can just simply lift the knee, fire out my front kick, and put it right back down where it started. All right, so take some time. Practice this in your guard stance using one leg, but then switch your guard stance and practice doing that the same on the other side. I shift my weight to the back. Now I can quickly chamber my front leg, fire out that front kick, get it right back down. Now, students, if you watched our last curriculum video, we worked on our break fall going backwards, or our back fall, and getting in a guard stance on the ground. If you haven't watched that video, go back to it right now. Anyway, now what we're going to do is we're going to practice the safest way for us to get back to our feet once we get into that position. So starting with our break fall backwards. What I'm going to do, I squat down, I keep my chin tucked. All those things that we had talked about in our previous video. Now I'm here in a guard stance on my back. Right? I have one foot up, my heel is above my knee, my hands are up in front of me here. The safest way for me to get up, whatever foot I have up, I'm going to take my hand on that side, I'm going to snow angel it back. And I'm going to use that hand to start building my posture, first to my elbow, but eventually all the way up to my hand. Notice how when I'm here, I have opposite hand and foot on the floor. I still have my foot up, aimed at any potential attacker, and I always, always, always have one hand also in between myself and the attacker. These things I want to make sure happen. Now, using my hand and the one foot that's on the floor, I'm going to lift my hip, then I'm going to take the foot that's up, I'm going to tuck it underneath, and I'm going to start to spin it backwards, just like this. Now when it comes back, I can go to my knee, before I finish getting up, or I can go from here, lifting my hips, directly to my foot. Whichever one is most comfortable for you, go ahead and perform it that way. Once I get that foot down, then I'm gonna start standing up, picking my hands up. But I don't just want to stand straight up, I want to continue to create distance between a potential attacker and myself. So as I take the sand off the floor, I'm just gonna shuffle step once or twice back to create space. One more time. First, I do my back fall. Here are my guard stance. Whatever foot I have up, I take my hand that's on that side, and that's the one I snow angel to the floor, and then I start to build my posture up to my hand. I have my foot and my hand actively ready to get in the way and protect me from an attacker. My eyes never leave the attacker as I lift my hips with the one hand and opposite foot that's on the floor. I take that foot, I tuck it underneath me, either to my knee first or directly to my foot, either way. Now, as I start to get up, I want to make sure that I shuffle my feet backwards to create just a little bit more space before I continue the engagement. All right, now black belt training students, go ahead and go grab your bow staff. We're going to continue practicing some things with our bow staff. Again, if you haven't watched the previous video on our black belt training curriculum on bow staff, starting reviewing our rest position, our ready position, and our basic horizontal strikes, make sure we go ahead and we go do that now. Today, instead of continuing on with the strikes, we're going to practice a really fun movement that's going to help us to build coordination with our bow staff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bow staff, I'm going to put it out in front of me, and I'm going to take my hand and slide it down to about the middle, and I'm going to work on this movement called figure eights. Now, most of the time, before I start doing figure eights, I like to just warm up my hands, one individually and then both together. So I'll take one hand and I'm just going to rotate it, thumb down, pinky up as far as I can. I'll do this with both hands, and I can even do the same from my ready position, just making sure that my arms and my wrists are ready. Anyway, then when we're starting to do our figure eights, first let's make a distinction. We can see right here the way that I'm gripping right in the middle. I have my thumb side, the side of the bow staff where my thumb is pointing, and then I have my pinky side, right? The bottom side of the bow staff when I hold it like this. When I say thumb side or pinky side, now we have that distinction. This top side from here is going to be our thumb side. This bottom side from here is going to be our pinky side. Doing my regular figure eights to start, I'm going to focus on the thumb side of my bow staff. I'm going to take that side of the bow staff, and I want to imagine if I was rowing forward in a little boat or kayak as I go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that thumb side of the bow staff, I'm going to reach it across my body, and I'm going to scoop down and make a circle. Notice how my thumb side begins to come back up. As it starts to come back up, I'm going to bring it back across to the other side of my body. Notice how I'm rotating my hand over, thumb side down, as I scoop the thumb side down and back up. As it comes back up, I bring it across my body, thumb side scoops down and up. As the thumb side comes back up, it comes back to the other side of my body and scoops down and up, just like this. If we do our figure eight slow, it should look something like this. Thumb side scoops down. As that thumb side comes back up to the top, bringing it across my body. Thumb side scoops down. As it comes back up, I bring that thumb side across to that other side, hitting my figure eight. Once you start getting a little bit more comfortable with your figure eight, right, then we can start to flow just a little bit more. Right, we can start to relax our wrist, bring our figure eight just a little bit tighter to our body with our bow staff like this. Black belt training students, when you're practicing with your bow staff, again, make sure that you ask your parents' permission before you just take the bow staff out and start playing with it. Make sure you're in a place that's going to be safe where you're not going to break anything or hurt anybody or anything. Right? Anyway, it's been a great practice today. Everybody feet together, set, bow. And we will see you next time.